Hello, 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 guys. You have me. It's Dr. Torie here with another episode of Be Victorious. Now, let me share with you guys. The lady that I have here is very special to me. She's coming all the way from Canada. She has books. She has a lot of things going. But in her book, The Ninth Child, Lisa talks about the curtain in her life as the youngest child, growing up from a large family, influenced by religious legalism. I'll put a worksheet out for that one because y'all not ready for this one. A victim of abuse and clergy sexual molestation. Lisa was trapped by a code of silence and restrictive religious rules. Her depression, anxiety, PTSD, and suicidal ideation continued to collide until she found healing. As a mental health ministry leader in her church, she uses her story to help others find hope in their journey of mental illness and trauma recovery. I am a fan, and she is here, you guys, for my podcast. Lisa, where are you?
Hello.
You're so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me. This is
It
going
is
to be
it is
amazing.
a pleasure. It is an honor to be here, truly.
I mean, this happens, and people don't want to have these conversations. But my hat's off to you for being a person that is. And people don't understand all of the things that that I introduced happens. And so we're going to go into details about this, but before we
Yeah.
begin, I have a question. What's your ACEs score?
My ACEs score is a 5.
Okay. And guess what? Mine's is too. And
Oh,
people,
really? Okay.
yes, yes. And people have to understand that that doesn't define you. And
No,
so for me, just with everything that I introduced, it's a 5. Where did the 5 come from, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind at all. The 5 primarily came from the molestation when I was 6. And there was also a microaggression situation with one of my siblings that I got targeted in small ways, but during my entire existence. So those microaggressions over time really add up and cause significant damage.
Right. I hate to hear this happen to you. Were mom and dad in the household?
Yeah, it was a very typical Midwest rural farm family, Christian family. We went to church 3 times a week. And if you didn't, you got called out.
Right.
I mean, where were you? Farming family, so we were very busy. We had a dairy farm. My father ran a dairy farm, and he believed in raising the help rather than hiring the help.
Hmm.
So nine children later, unfortunately, possibly for him, there were only 3 boys. But let me tell you, these girls can sling some bales.
Okay. So that's your, so I thought the name of the book was The Ninth Child, but you are the ninth child.
I am the 9th child.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Make it make sense,
Yes.
Tori.
Yeah, the 9th child is my memoir. The first 8 siblings were born in 10 years. And my mother started young. First baby was born at 18.
Okay.
So by the time she was 28, if this puts it in perspective, at 28, baby number 8 was born.
Mm, Mama was busy, huh?
Yeah, on the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
She thought she was done. The family thought they were done. And 4 years later, she found out she was pregnant with me. Now,
oh,
she comes from her own background of adverse childhood experiences. Her score probably would have been pretty high had she still been alive to take the test. Um, but that pregnancy at 32 was, it tipped her over the edge psychologically. I understand that now. Of course, I didn't know that at the time.
right.
But what we know about neurodevelopment is that when a fetus is developing and the mother is in distress, is
Mhm.
in mental distress, is in physical distress, is in emotional distress. It affects how that brain develops.
Right.
And my brain developed in a wash, in a bath of distress for her.
Mhm.
And my brain maps later on, we'll get to it, but my brain maps later on bear that out, that I was essentially born in a state of hyper threat assessment. It's not something, that piece did not develop, that piece just was. I was just born that way.
Wow.
And then add microaggressions and add sexual molestation to it, and then having it covered up, not being defended, watching the church stand up and defend him when another little girl in the community accused him. After my mother knew what happened to me, they still defended him because he was a deacon.
Hmm. Interesting.
So what does that do to my child brain?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask, did your parents support, or did they
They
support
let me they
you?
let me forget. I was in the process of just self-soothing. When
Mm.
the incident happened, my primary coping skill was just climbing, withdrawing inside myself. And I started a practice of rocking and soothing and chanting and self-soothing, saying it didn't happen, it didn't happen, it didn't happen. But of course, the memory would come back. So then I would go back to my room with my teddy bear in my corner, kind of thing. But after about 2 years, um, it, it wasn't working.
Right.
I needed this was needed to come out of me. So I did tell my mother, and I have I talk about it pretty clearly in the book. There were two different things that my brain did at the exact same time. Brains are fascinating things.
Mhm.
So, number one thing that happened in my brain was that my brain created a scenario where I was standing in the kitchen with my mother telling her what happened to me, which didn't happen. I actually told her in the car, but my brain created a scenario that we were standing in the farm kitchen and I told my mother what this man did to me, and she looked at me and she said, "I don't have time for this. I have to go do the laundry," and she walked away.
Wow.
And for my entire life, that's what I believed happened.
Right.
That's not what happened at all. And I explain in the book what really happened, but that's what my brain did. And that was the final nail in the coffin, if you will, to support the core belief that I was never wanted, and I still wasn't wanted, and there was no safe place for me in this world or in this family or in this home or in this church or anywhere in this community. There's just no safe place.
Hence the depression, the
Yeah.
anxiety, the
Yeah.
suicidal ideation, all of
Yeah.
this.
That's where the suicidal ideation began, I believe. I actually had a conversation with God, say, okay, like this doesn't make sense with me. I need you, God, to show me supernaturally the point at my life where all of this began.
Mhm.
And there were two moments that he showed me, and that was one of them.
Wow. Another question. Was this person ever charged?
Not for my abuse.
Hmm.
He was eventually, but he was very elderly. He was protected in the church. He was a independent fundamental Baptist deacon. He was very protected.
Hmm.
And in our little town, it was just, no, we can't, if people think bad things about us, they're going to think bad things about God. No, 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 no. We know now that's not how it works. But protecting him, protecting reputation, was how our church held God high in the community. And the thing about God is that he doesn't need us to do that. He's God. He holds himself high all by himself.
Right. He does.
And it's actually the reverse that's true, that when we challenge reputation,
Hmm.
when we come into that space of grace and come into that space of truth, and when we challenge our ego and challenge our reputations, that's where God is held high.
Come on. So if you didn't know, I said it. She is a mental health minister, and you just preached. Thank
I
you.
am all about creating safe spaces for people to tell their trauma stories. And I'm gonna get a little emotional here. Got my hanky ready.
Okay.
Um, because Torie, people like me have not felt safe in churches for our whole lives.
Know it.
And the
I
church needs to do better. And the
it.
church can do better.
Mm,
But God really challenged me on that. He said, yeah, I know you want to leave, because I was like, done, gone by,
right.
not doing this anymore. So many people that I know and love and respect that love Jesus cannot handle the
Mhm.
church for 1 minute. And I have all the respect and understanding and compassion and empathy in the world for that. And I'm like, me too, God, I'm next in line. I'm out the door. And God said, okay, yeah, all right. I got you, girl. I get you, and you're not wrong. And wouldn't it be great if that changed?
Oh my God.
Wouldn't that be
Oh,
great if that changed? I'm like,
mm,
yes, yes, that would be great if that changed in the church, big C church and little C church.
mhm,
Big C church meaning globally, culturally, little C church meaning my church on the corner. It needs to change there too. He said, awesome. How's that going to happen if you leave?
right. And that's why you were here. And so I'm gonna put
Well,
it
here
out
we are.
because
And my
this is
church
the
is
safe
making a
place.
safe space for mental illness recovery, and for trauma recovery. My church is leaning in with me and giving me a voice and giving me safe space inside their walls. And it blows me away every time we run Renewing Hope. I'm like, okay, little C church, my church on the corner, little
Yeah.
C church is a safe place now. But the thing is, people don't know that yet.
Mm,
So
mm,
now I'm getting loud. One of your guests that you just interviewed. Oh man, I wrote down her name because I didn't want to forget it. Was it Nicole?
mm-mm.
Who used the phrase describing the work that she's doing for herself and her recovery. She is healing out loud.
Ha!
Oh, I stood up and cheered. I was so excited. I was like, yes, that's exactly what we're doing. I am healing out loud. And I get a little loud and a little obnoxious sometimes. And it makes people uncomfortable, but that's okay, because it's my turn to feel comfortable inside my church with my mental illness and with my trauma recovery. And it is my turn to create that safe space for people who now can come. You can bring your broken family. You can bring your broken marriage. You can bring your broken heart. You can bring your broken spirit. Guess what? You can bring your broken brain. You are safe. You are loved. You are validated just the way you are. There's nothing that you need to change about yourself in order to be loved and valued here. And I believe if we can start that space in my little C church,
Mhm.
that's
Amen.
going to spread. And
Amen.
we are getting it. We are so close to being able to share Renewing Hope on a larger platform, to be able to, we want to make it free for any church in the world to use if they want it.
Very good. Very good. And if you all did not know, heck, I went and found her because listen, listen to what she's saying. And at the end of the day, she wants this not just for her, she
Mhm.
wants it for everybody, because we know that this is happening in the church. It's happening not just in the church, but in our families, you guys. She talked about her family, she talked about the church, and here she is. I told y'all. And see, this is the thing. That's your passion. This is mine. I know it. I feel it, because my goal is to make sure that people understand their adverse childhood experiences. You talked about it.
Mhm.
You talked about your mom's generational trauma.
Mhm.
You talked about what happened. Yeah, you came from a two-parent home. However, this happened in the church.
Mhm.
Family, church. These are the discussions that we need to have. People make fun of me because I always say, all right, let's have these discussions at the dining room table. This is where they need to be having them.
100%.
I'm
100%. When we change the culture around the dining room table, we change the culture in the home, and we change the culture in our communities and in our church, and our culture needs to change. We need to expand into more empathy, into more compassion, into more awareness. Can we
so
please stop feeling shame about things that were perpetrated upon us?
and
There's
then
no shame.
we
There's
did.
no shame. There's no stigma. I'm out there. I'm in the code, the sacred cow of the code of silence needs to be slain.
Mhm.
It's time for a barbecue, Torie.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm
Let's slay that sacred cow of silence and let's have a big old barbecue and let's make it saucy and drippy and share it with everybody.
I think so
No
because
more silence, no more
I
shame.
can guarantee you somebody's going to say, oh, this is so relatable. Oh my God. Or, oh, this happened to me. Or, oh, I know that this happened to someone else. The people on the
Yes.
podcast, this is happening to them. I
Yeah.
commend everybody that comes here because they're sharing their story. I hate that this happened to you, but hear me out. Look at how God is using you.
Yeah.
I
Which is
can't wait to get the book. And let's be clear, I want to pay for it because I want that signature to say, oh, yeah,
yeah.
I'm telling you, this is what we have to do. And
Yes.
more people are going to hear this. So any opportunity that I can get to do this, this is what we're going to do. So tell us, what else are you doing in the church to make such an impact that the church is now little C turning big C, shall I say? Because churches are not doing this. Let's be clear.
No,
You
no,
know
they're not
that they're
yet.
not doing it. But how did you get
Yet.
a church to do this?
I have hope. Churches will be doing this.
Come
This
on.
is the trend and that we're leaning into. This whole thing started with conversations between a very good friend and I, who also dealt with, if she took the ACEs test, oh my goodness, her score would be way higher than mine. I just want to take a moment and just address
Mhm.
that scores are very helpful.
Mhm.
When I got a 5, I questioned whether or not my score was high enough to give me credibility to talk about this.
Mhm.
So here's what I want to say about that. This is very important to me, so I'm slipping this in on the side.
Go ahead.
Um, Trauma is not a competition. It
Thank
is
you.
not a competition. Whatever your score is, your score is. It gives us a frame. Frames of every size are still frames. They're still usable. They still hold something valuable.
Mhm.
I bear the full weight of 100% of my trauma, with whether my trauma comes up to a 5 or whether my trauma comes up to a 10. I still bear 100% of that weight.
Mhm.
And I still have to do 100% of the work to get to healing. Just like my friend did, and her score would have been much higher than mine. So trauma is not a competition, but when she and I both felt very passionately that there needed to be a safe space in the church for mental health issues.
Mhm. And
And
you've
it
heard
was
me.
time.
Yeah.
And so we talked about, what would this even look like? Because we went looking and there's nothing out there. No, that's not true. That's not true. There's very little out there. There's very little out there. So we looked at a program that Rick Warren, and I think his wife was very instrumental in writing. What they're doing is called Journey to Hope. And
I
it's very, very effective. So
heard.
churches in the States are doing Journey to Hope, as they should be. It is very effective. We are Canadian.
Mhm.
So we ordered the program, we put together a little focus group, and we went through it together as a focus group, and we're like, this is so great. And for Canadians, for our culture, we need to take this chapter and put it here because we're not ready for this yet. We need to lead up to that as a topic. We need to shuffle the deck a little bit. We need to, just little tweaks here and there. Could we run it and just make little tweaks? We were 3 or 4 chapters in and realized, we just got to write our own thing. We've got to write our own thing. We have to make it sense. We have to make it make sense to our local culture.
Mhm.
Not that there's anything wrong or bad about the culture that Journey to Hope was written for. It's beautiful and it applies and it works great, but it doesn't matter how pretty the shoe is. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
You're right.
Right. So
And
we had to make a bet. We had to make a shoe that fit.
right.
And so we prayed about it and we talked about it, and we talked to some really knowledgeable people about it, say, hey, listen, we're doing this. Please pray for us while we develop this. And she sat down one weekend on a Friday night at home alone thinking, well, maybe I'll start, typing up some notes of what this thing might look like. And okay, God, what's this going to be? And by Sunday afternoon, it was all there. Now we've done edits and we've done tweaks, but right now it is sitting at a very, very well written 14-week facilitator-led peer support group. We are not counselors. We are not therapists. We are peer supporters.
Okay.
And that is the piece that the church can do, and that the church can do really well on a spiritual level and on a peer support level. But it is so important to know where your boundaries are.
Exactly.
I'm not a therapist. I'm not there to fix anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there for you to tell me everything that's going on in your life, and I'm going to give you 3 easy ways and tips and tricks to fix that. That's not what we do. We accept, we honor, we validate, we go to scriptures, and because God has a lot to say. God has a lot to say about pain. God has a lot to say about lamentation. And a season of lamentation or sadness and grief is a holy thing. An entire book of the Bible is devoted to lamentations. Why do we not have safe spaces in our church to lament?
Mm-hmm.
We need to. We must. It is part of the work that we must do with one another. It is how we bear one another's burdens. We come alongside. I can't take it away and fix it and make it disappear. I don't have a magic Jesus wand that I haul out of my pocket and go, praying, you are now healed and happy, and this will no longer torment you. I can't do that. But what I can do is make sure that you're not doing this alone, because nobody needs to do this alone. This is hard work, and it is long work. I have people, we're in our 3rd year of running Renewing Hope now, and we tweak it as we go. And I have people that are coming back time after time after time after time to take it again and take it again and take it again. I have a number of people that started out as participants, and they're now training in to become, now they're on a training path to become facilitators. And now we're running it at 2 separate campuses, and we're starting it online.
Good for you.
So yes. So very, very soon, you're not going to have to be local to Calgary to come to Renewing Hope. You can come to Renewing Hope from anywhere. As long as you got Zoom, baby, you're in the room.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Do you look back at this and say, thank you, Lord? Because you have
every Monday night, I drive home thank you, Jesus. And I'm crying as I'm driving down the highway back to my house after Renewing Hope, because it's
the name, Renewing Hope.
That's the name of the ministry, Renewing Hope. Yeah.
God bless you.
It is never lost on me what an incredible privilege this is.
Mm-hmm.
And what we step into that room, and we are stepping on holy ground, and we know it.
You can tell.
And we are covered in prayer. Everyone who facilitates for me if they're coming to the table supporting people, then I'm making sure that they have supports. We have a facilitator trainer that is hooking us up with psychologists who are coming in to give us very real, very valuable training. Because I'm a nice church lady, and I mean really well, and I've got a big heart, and man, I want to help you, and I know Jesus can help you, but I know that there's a lot that I don't know.
Right.
So, and I know that I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I've got a few of those at my table.
Right.
I've got a few of those on my facilitator team.
Uh-huh.
But even then, in that room, we are peer supporters. This is your journey. You come into this space, and this is your journey. And we're going to talk about topics like grief and shame and how to find your safe people, because so many of us don't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I had a woman sit at my table for the very first session, and she was almost shaking, and she was gripping her hands together so tightly, her knuckles were white, and she was afraid to say the name of her diagnosis because she was inside of a church.
Oh.
And she was afraid to talk about how angry she was with God for this situation in her life, because that's a sin. No, honey, mental illness isn't a sin, it's an illness.
No.
Trauma isn't a sin, it's trauma. Trauma responses are not sins, they are trauma responses. The doctor hits your knee with that little wacky thing, and your leg catches him on the way up. You didn't kick him to hurt him. That's a trauma reaction. It's just, can we please understand and stop judging each other and judging ourselves and be in a place where we are safe, where we are validated, when we understand what our illness is and what it does to us.
That's why you
Sometimes depression spikes, sometimes anxiety spikes, and there's no reason for it. It's just the illness doing what the illness does.
Mhm.
And if we don't say it about cancer, if we don't say it about thyroid imbalance, if we don't say it about a broken bone, if we don't say it about diabetes, we're not going to say it about mental illness.
Ooh.
I'm not going to shame someone for taking insulin. They better not shame me for taking antidepressants.
Ooh.
Medicine is medicine. Illness is illness. Let's start treating it like an illness and stop treating it like a moral failure.
And see, this is what I think. And I agree with you 1000%. And so, again, y'all, I told you she was good. I did my research. This is what I think. The CDC did updates. So now they've updated a lot. Now, when I was passionate doing my dissertation saying these are the things that we needed, I look up in June of 2023 and there's all these updates. I think they put it out there between me and you, Lisa, so they can tell people,
Yeah.
well, we told y'all this
Yeah.
is ACEs, but you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I do. Like, people
Yeah.
are going to believe that bullying is ACEs. Do you know what bullying can really do to you for real?
Oh my goodness.
And so it's like, I honestly think that they put the updates so they can say, well, we did tell y'all, we did warn y'all. And I believe, like how your ministry, because you have a ministry, Lisa, you're changing lives, you're saving people. This is my
Well,
ministry.
God's saving people and he's bringing me along for the ride, and I couldn't be more
Yeah.
happy about
And I
that.
know it, and I'm telling you, so
Yeah.
many people, I know that there are people that have said, oh my God, thank you so much. So I want to say, yeah, keep up the good work because I can tell this is your passion and this is what you
Mhm.
and I hate
Yeah.
that you went through the trauma, the ACEs that you experienced. I do, but to see you evolve, it's like a flower. You
Yeah.
are spreading this awareness and doing what you need to do, and I thank God for you for real because I know that there's somebody that's going to listen to this podcast and say,
Yeah. Had I not encountered very real, tangible, meaningful healing, I wouldn't be doing this work right now. I do not take that for granted because I needed serious intervention.
which is
And
the
I
reason
found
I love that you.
I found it in neurofeedback brain training. That was where I found my healing. I talk about it in my book. I was because I was on medication. Okay, my ADD brain is doing this thing where it starts 8 sentences and it can't figure out which one to go with and which one to finish. It's like, okay,
That's why.
pick a sentence and finish it, Lisa. Okay.
Tell me what was the training again, because I've heard of it. What is it that you believe saved?
Neurofeedback brain training.
Uh-huh. I've heard of it.
I blogged my entire experience from appointment one, from researching it, from finding it. My sister-in-law told me about it because she was doing it. She hadn't told anybody yet that she was doing it. Because in my family, you're supposed to just be able to pray stuff away.
And
And if
everybody,
it doesn't work, clearly you have hidden sin, you know. This is not a thing. This is not a thing that needs to come to the altar. This is a thing that needs to be brought to the doctor.
yep.
So I found a neurofeedback practitioner in Calgary. And I went to a clinic called Nirvana Health in Calgary. Now, neurofeedback brain training is available all over the States. It's starting to be more available in Canada. God provided the money in a miraculous way. I talk about that in the book too, because it is very expensive to access, which is a problem too. I didn't know how to do it, but that needs to get fixed. Dear Jesus, somebody in government, you know what to do. Off you go. Go do that. Thank you. That was, sometimes I boss Jesus around.
It's okay. That's your friend. He's my
I
friend.
just, I don't mean to, but it just kind of comes out that way. Anyway, I was able to access it starting January 2021.
Okay. Recent.
I was having very difficult side effects and adverse reactions from the medications that I was on. At the time, I was on still antidepressants. I'd been on some version of antidepressants for 25 years. I was taking Wellbutrin and Pristiq together. Both of them on their own are heavy, heavy hitters. By the time you get those and you start combining them so they support one another, it was working really, really well for me until it didn't. So my mental health was doing this. It was just doing this. It was the roller coaster from hell that never ended.
I'm glad you're saying all of this. I don't
And
tell too much because they
yeah,
can get the book.
medication is great, but these kinds of medications are not designed and manufactured to work for long term. So those of us who have been on it for half a lifetime, yeah, of course we're going to have some adverse reactions to the medication. And then they want to start giving me medication to fix what's going wrong with the medications. I'm like, whoa, 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 time out. There's got to be a better way to do this. So I'm on the phone with my sister-in-law crying in my kitchen again. And she said, listen, let's look into this. Like, what even is this? And my kids were home for Christmas 2020, and they saw the reactions. They experienced the brain fog. They experienced my inability to have and hold an intelligent conversation and be able to finish my sentences beyond my ADD brain thing. They saw the tremors. They saw, like, Mom, this is not okay. This is not okay. You're not doing well.
Right.
And God miraculously provided the money that we needed. I made the phone call and I got my brain mapped, which is fascinating. On my blog, lisaleblanc.com. Go there, click on neurofeedback. You'll see my entire journey. And it took 6 months, crazy caps, wires, goopy gel in my hair, hooked up to this thing that looks like a soundboard that's got like 16 different channels on it. And the tech is like, because neurofeedback works on a frequency, on an electrical frequency level.
Right.
And what it does is it triggers the brain to rebuild broken neural pathways. And we now know, we can see on the brain maps, you can see those places where neural pathways have broken down and the brain is not functioning anymore. It's basically like a signal traffic jam, if you will. So neurofeedback comes in, helps the brain rebuild these pathways, builds a new, literally hardwires the brain, rewires the brain, brand new circuitry. So now the brain is running the way the brain is supposed to run. The right enzymes are getting developed. The right proteins are getting developed. The enzymes and proteins are now getting and connecting where they're supposed to go, where they couldn't go before because there was a broken bridge there. Neurofeedback comes in and helps the brain build those bridges. So now everything can start to connect. Guess what? Now I don't need my meds anymore because my brain's doing what my brain was designed to do. I was able to come off, after 25 years of antidepressants, I was able to come off my meds entirely. It's been over 2 years and I'm still very, very stable.
Congratulations.
And I'm med free and I don't have the extra, it's so lovely to be able to be off the meds because I was at the point where it was the meds causing the brain fog, not my depression.
Right.
But it was the suicidal ideation and the PTSD that were spiking. Without neurofeedback, girl, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't be here to have this conversation with.
I'm glad that you shared.
Really bad again. And neurofeedback literally saved my life.
Neurofeedback.
It gave me a brain that is working well, that is connecting, that is supporting me the way it was designed to. So now I was able to shift and I started having the courage to start writing. And that's where the 9th child came from. I wouldn't have been able to do this any sooner because my brain wasn't healed.
Right.
But my brain is healed to the point where now I am neurotypical, I am stable, I am off my meds, but I am not anti-med. Please, if your doctor gave you pills, take them, take them, take them. If they're not working, don't try to figure it out for yourself. Go back to your doctor and figure it out.
And that is for anybody.
Anybody. thyroid, diabetes, antidepressants, antipsychotics, anti-nauseants, anti-anxieties. Doesn't matter what you're on. If your doctor gave you medication, there is no shame in taking the medication.
Well, let
Cancer
me,
patients are not ashamed to go to the hospital and get their chemo. This is their treatment. It's what they must do to stay alive. Our treatment is what we must do to stay alive until you find a better treatment, and then you go do that.
Mhm.
I found a better treatment. I found neurofeedback, and it worked.
And here
I
you
still
are.
get sad. I still get anxious. I
Mhm.
still, but it's on neurotypical levels. I know boundaries. I've got really good coping mechanisms. I've got really great tools in my mental health toolbox. I know how to use them now. And in ministry, that's what we do. We show up on Monday night to Renewing Hope. And basically, we're just all dumping our toolboxes out on the table and say, hey, what you need? I've got this. Here, you can borrow this tool until you can get your own tool, and we help each other practice using our tools. And we are sharing tools, and God gave us a lot of tools.
So you were 2021. The program started last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how many people do you think have been through the program?
um we are still working really hard on awareness. Our
Okay.
church is really large. It's what you might consider a mega church. I am still educating some of our pastors about, hey, did you know that we
Yeah.
have a mental health ministry? They're like, what's that? Like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. There's so much work on awareness to be done in my own little C church, but it is growing. We've probably had about 50 people go through it so far.
And that's enough. As a researcher?
And some of those people have trained and are continuing to train into facilitating. So now, instead of just running one session a year at our Deerfoot campus, we in the fall, we're just finishing up Monday night's party night.
Okay.
Monday night's our last night. We're having communion together, and we're eating together, and we're wrapping up our fall Renewing Hope session at the Deerfoot campus. At our second campus, at the Southwest campus, we start again for another 14 weeks in January.
Mm.
And that's a hybrid session, because now we have people coming in person who can come in person, and ones who can't can join us on Zoom, because we have the technology in that room to include them.
Okay.
We've got the big screen, we can hook that up, and I've got a facilitator that just for the Zoom people, and we've got in-person facilitators for the in-person people. And little by little, we're growing that out, and we're going to develop that Zoom piece out into a full online
Perfect.
offering, with its own facilitator leader, with her own team that's going to be looking after that. But that happened because last year in January, a week before, no, it was in February, a week before we started Renewing Hope at Southwest, I was walking the dogs and I slipped on the ice and broke my ankle. And
Oh,
I was in surgery on March 1st with pins and screws, and broke my tibia in 3 places, broke the fibula right off, dislocated my ankle, laying in the middle of the street, screaming my head off. Neighbors came running out to help me. It was a whole thing. And I'm like, God, I'm supposed to be in the room starting Renewing Hope next week. I'm not going to be able to do that. And it means stairs, and I can't get up the stairs. And God's like, girl, when was this ever your thing?
exactly. Let me
It's
tell you.
my thing. I've got this.
Right.
You just go lay on the operating table, let the surgeon do the surgeon job. Let me do my job. It's going to happen. And that's how we pivoted into a hybrid session, where now we have people on Zoom from anywhere can join us in the room, and we're still one big group.
That's amazing.
It's super cool. I'm
Oh,
still limping around a little bit.
yeah.
I
But
might not walk 100%, but every time I feel that ankle twinge, I remember who's in charge. Like,
yeah.
God got it. God's
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
And it spins off into a whole new possibility for us, which is just God doing what God does. He's
Yeah.
cool that way.
Mhm. He's amazing. Ah, you are God sent. Thank you. You have to. So I have to recap you all. Hmm. This is a great example. We talked about generational trauma. We talked about trauma. We talked about a lot of stuff, you guys. Is there anything that we missed? Because and the reason why I say that, because we've covered so much, you guys. It is so just to have where we're at now, and here you are telling this story in your recovery. I mean, you falling on your own is your own recovery, but your mental health recovery is so amazing. I keep telling people they have to understand there's plenty of room for us in the mental health field, to where we're not in competition with anybody at all. You're more in competition with yourself, like how you said with that number. That number should not define you at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really want to thank you so much for being here. I want you to tell the world where we can find you. If you all didn't pay attention, she gave me a lot. I'm definitely going to be going. She did. You were very resourceful. Thank you so much. Tell the world where we can find you.
I'm going to give you all the links for the show notes. You can find my blog, my neurofeedback story is on my blog, lisameleblanc.com. I will give you I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I'll give you those links. Yeah, you can email me. If you want to email me, you can email me, media@lisameleblanc.com. Send me an email. Maybe I can help, maybe I can't, but if you need somebody to talk to, and if you want to know more about renewing hope, by all means, that's a conversation that I want to have.
And this is the reason why I'm here, you guys. I find amazing people, and we are sharing our story. Adverse childhood experiences is real. It's always been my thing to say, but to have people, I think for me, I'm not by myself. And so, here's the proof. Here's the pudding.
Yeah.
Here it is right here. And what we're doing is recovering. We're healing. Everybody has a different story, and everybody has a different way that they're healing, but we're understanding what it is, and we're healing.
Yeah. And your story matters. I don't care what your score is. Your story matters. Yeah. Everyone has a story, and every story matters.
And I think you are.
You order a book from me, I will write that on the flyleaf.
Absolutely.
Here it is. I will send you the link. And you know what? I'm going to give you guys a special discount code that nobody else gets. Okay, so you're going to get 20% off. It's going to be mailed from my little office, from my little hands, with an inscription to you in it. And yeah, so
I'm ready.
T9, the number 9, C for the 9th child, BV. That's going to be your discount code.
T9CBV.
BV for Be Victorious.
Oh, let's get it.
That's going to be a code for only you and your listeners.
Thank you. Because I love it. And remember, I'm in a field of educators, so we need to have that resource on our shelf.
Yes.
So I'm with it. And I thank you so much, because you are the first. Now, I've gotten a lot of books, let's be clear. I love to read, but you're the first to give me a Be Victorious discount. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Well, you
are so welcome.
This is what happens. We get in spaces where people feel comfortable and people are telling their stories, but the more, the merrier, you guys. Come on, join us.
Stories matter.
Yes, and your story matters.
Somebody's story unlocked my memories and helped me get started on my healing path. And that's why stories matter. That's what I want my story to do. My story is going to help somebody unlock the next layer of healing for them.
And they're going to get a discount when they get it from Be Victorious.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, you guys? We're going to end on that note. Y'all know where to find me. Lisa told y'all where to find her. Find us, especially for this book, because I'm telling you, I will be getting one. Mine's is going to be signed and autographed, but I'm going to get this book. And we have another episode, you guys, of Be Victorious, and we thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next time. We'll be here. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye, you guys. Lisa, you're amazing.
You're amazing.